morning, students. We are discussing chapter 2, collection of data. We have completed so far sources of data, how do we collect the data, preparation of instrument, that is how to create questionnaire, what are the steps we should keep in mind while creating questionnaire, modes of data collection, 3 methods we learned: personal interview, mailing questionnaire and telephone interviews, and then pilot survey. Hope you understood all those concepts. Next we are going to start with census and sample surveys. Let's discuss about census or complete enumeration. A survey which includes every element of population is known as census or the method of complete enumeration. The word census is a popular word, you would have heard this. It is familiar with the census of India, so which is carried out for every 10 years. So why do we take census? So to know the population of a country, to know the literacy rate or employment or life expectancy. So for all these purpose we usually take census. The essential feature of this method is that it covers every individual unit in the entire population. So it covers all the individual. So each and every individual will be included in the census survey. You cannot select some and leave out the others. Generally, census is taken mainly to collect the data about population. So every 10 years once, the government of India, census of India, take census about the population. A house to house enquiry is carried out covering all the households in India. So they will include the demographic data, that is birth and death rate, literacy, employment, life expectancy, size and composition of population, etc. are collected and published by the Registrar General of India. The last census of India was held in the year 2011. Next, so in the year 2021, 20 to 21, they will be, that is this year, they will be taking census of population. Let's see the advantages and disadvantages of census method of collecting data. Here advantages are: results are absolutely correct, accurate and reliable. Since we are going in person and collecting the data, it is absolutely correct, accurate and we can believe the data. Then less chances of biasness. There will not be any much mistakes in the collection of data. Then data related to each element is collected. So each element means each and every individual are collected. We will not miss out any one of the individual also. Even though it has some advantages, it has disadvantages too. Since we are collecting the data individually, it will take lot of time, energy and money is required to collect the data, because they have to go in person and collect the data. It takes lot of time. Then suitable for certain specific cases only. So it is suitable only for collection of data like demographic data, like birth rate, death rate, literacy. For all the purpose we cannot go in person and collect the data. It is not suitable. This type of census method will not be suitable for all the cases. Then large number of enumerators are required for collecting data. So enumerator means the person who helps to collect data. So these are the advantage and disadvantages of census method. So next we shall see the sample survey. Since census survey is not suitable for all the type of situation, we use sample survey sometimes. So let's see what is sample survey. In this, a sample from the population is surveyed. Sample means what? From the large population, only few people are selected and surveyed. The first step is selecting a sample to identify the population. So for first in this method, what they should do is they should identify the population. Population means the person whom to be surveyed according to the problem. So then select the representative sample, as it is difficult to study entire population. So why we are using this method? Mainly we cannot collect data from all. So we are selecting this type of survey, that is called sample survey. Here few terms are very important which we have learnt as key terms in the first session itself. So you should know the key terms about sample, population, representative. So all these are very important to learn this concept. See, a good sample refers to a group or selection of population from which information is to be obtained. So a good sample is generally smaller than the population and is capable of providing reasonably accurate information about the population at lower cost and shorter time. Now let's see few advantages and disadvantages of sample survey. The main advantages of sample survey is economical. Economical means it is less cost. So since we are selecting only few people as a sample, the cost is very much less. Then time consumption also less. So we will not take much time to collect the survey as that of census method. Then efforts are also less as we are going to cover only few persons or small portion in the population. Each and every method has its own merits and demerits. So sample survey also has demerits. It has the first disadvantage is partial investigation of the universe. Partial means since we are not collecting the data from all, only partial people are selected. It may be lead to bias also sometimes, and not easy to select a sample which represent whole population. So it is not very easy to select. So whom to be selected as a sample, so who to represent, that's very difficult to identify, and it is very complicated process and difficult process too. So these are the few advantage and disadvantage about sample survey. Let's see the examples of sample survey. So one of the example is research problem. So suppose we are taking, if we want to study the economic condition of agricultural laborers in some district. Take Dindigul district. All agricultural laborers in Dindigul district are considered as target population. Target population means the person whom you are going to survey. So those people are said to be target population. In this, whom you have to take it as sample means 10% of agricultural laborers in Dindigul district has to be taken as sample. Now I think you are clear about the research problem, population and sample. So when you are taking a survey, you have to keep in mind for what purpose you are going to research, whom you are going to take, and who are the sample, how many people you are taking as sample. So these are the things you should keep in mind while doing the sample survey. Most of the surveys are sample surveys. These are preferred in statistics because number of reasons. The reasons are because of the advantages of sample survey. Because of that only many are using the sample survey instead of census. Now it's time to learn types of sampling or methods of sampling. There are two methods of sampling. One is random sampling, the other one is non-random sampling. Let's discuss this in detail now. By the name itself you can understand, here we are taking the sample randomly. So in this method every individual unit has an equal chance of being selected. This is like a probability. So out of 1000 members, any 100 will be selected. So everyone have the equal chances. Any 100 will be selected. So in this random sampling, again it is further divided into three, namely lottery method, a table of random numbers, or exit polls. Lottery method is very simple. So what here they will do is, they will take all the items in the population which are assigned. So each one will be given a different number, and these number are written on identical piece of paper and put in a bowl. These samples are selected on a random basis. So usually we will also do in the classrooms. We will shuffle the papers, shuffle the name of students and select for asking questions or for few tasks or something. So that is called lottery method. Next one is table of random numbers. So in this, random numbers are arranged in rows and columns which are selected on population size. So what is random number table means? Random number tables will have been generated to guarantee equal probability of selection of every individual unit in the population. So each one will have the equal chance of selection. So this can be calculated or generated using calculators or computers or just by random numbers. So I will give you a screenshot of this random table number. You can refer to that also. You can start using table from anywhere, that is from any page, any column, any row or any point. Suppose if we want to select 30 households out of 300 total households. So totally 300 households are there. In that, how much you are going to select? Only 30. So any 3-digit number can be taken randomly. So in different ways we can have the 3-digit number. It can be anything. You yourself can say any 3-digit number. So 1, 2, 3 or 3, 2, 1, 4, 2, 3. So within 300. So 4, 3, 2 will not come because it is more than 300. So within 300, what are the possibilities? Any 30 numbers we can randomly select. The third method of sampling is exit polls. So usually this type of sampling method is used to predict the election results. So in this technique, random sample of voters who are all exiting from the polling booths are asked who they voted for. From that, they will be able to predict who is going to win the election. So for this purpose, this type of sampling is used. The next one is non-random sampling. So what is the difference between sampling and non-random sampling? So here we will not take the sampling on the basis of random. So that is why it is said to be non-random sampling. So in this, all units of the population do not have an equal chance of being selected. So what are the methods in non-random sampling are? The first method is judgment or purposive or deliberative sampling. Here sample units are selected consciously by the investigator on the basis of judgment. So here the investigator himself will select the sample. Okay. So here there is no random or lottery method or something. So investigator himself will select this type of sampling. This method is subject to personal bias of investigator. So suppose the investigator is very partial. This type of non-random sampling leads to some bias. Bias means error may occur because of this sampling. The next non-random sampling is quota sampling. So here the investigator is allotted definite quota and he is required to collect the required data from a specific number of units of each quota. The last method of non-random sampling is convenience sampling. So by the name itself we can understand, based on the investigator's convenience, he collects the sample units alone. So far we discussed two ways of collecting data. One is census survey, the other one is sample survey. In census survey, every individual are taken into account and we are collecting the data. So it is reliable. But sampling is not reliable. It leads to bias because we are taking only particular sample alone. But census survey is not possible always because it has some demerits like it will take lot of time and very costly also. So the sampling method is better, but we should select proper target population to collect the data according to the research problem. As I said, the sampling leads to bias, so it may lead to errors also. So sampling method tend to have errors. So what are sampling errors and what are non-sampling errors, that we are going to discuss now. Here error means what we actually say is there will be difference between the actual value and the estimated value. Since we are taking the sample, so that is called estimated value, but actual may be difference. So the error may occur because of this. So what is sampling error? This concept is very important. Often they used to ask a question based on the sampling error. So sampling error is the difference between actual value of parameter of population and it's estimated. Okay, so estimated is the known one and actual value is the one which is not known. Okay, so it is possible to reduce this type of error by increasing the size of sample. So if we increase the sample, so out of 1000 if we take 100, there are chances of a lot of errors. So out of 1000 we can take at least 500 so that the error can be reduced. Non-random sampling error are very important. So there are 3 types of non-sampling error. First one is error in data acquisition. So data acquisition means while recording the response itself, the investigator may record wrongly. The next one is non-response. Non-response means few sample persons may not respond. Okay, it occurs when interviewer is unable to contact particular person listed in the sample. So in the sample, if they are not able to collect the data from that particular person, that is called non-response. The last one is sampling bias. So it occurs when in a sampling plan, some members of target population could not included. In simple, that is these people are in no way related with the survey. Okay, the research purpose and the sample which they have taken itself is totally wrong. So in such case are called sampling bias. So the sample person itself totally wrong. So that is called sampling bias. So we know that census is a primary data. So apart from that, there are few agencies which collect the data by themselves. So mainly for others to use. Okay, that is called secondary data. So who actually collects the data? There are few agencies to collect the data. So that data can be used by anyone for the survey. Based on the survey, we can use these type of data. So those agencies we are going to discuss. The important agencies of secondary data, the first one is Census of India. So it provides most important and complete demographic record of population. So what is demographic? Demography means the data regarding, as already I said, birth rate, death rate, population. So all these, the literacy, sex ratio, all these will come under demographic. So for recording these type of data, this Census of India agency is very much helpful. These are conducted every 10 years and these are useful to interpret and analyze and to understand many economic and social issues in India, and accordingly plans and policies are formulated. So using this data, government takes policies, fiscal policy, monetary policy, which you will be learning in the next year. Okay, so of policy, suppose government has to take some plans. It takes the help of these data collected by Census of India and uses and formulates plans and policies. The next agency is National Sample Survey Organization. So this was established in the year 1950 under Ministry of Finance, mainly to conduct surveys and collect data on estimates of literacy, school enrollment, maternity, PDS. PDS means Public Distribution System, etc. to publish surveys through reports. So NSSO conducts continuous survey on various problems in successive rounds. The NSSO was established by the Government of India to conduct nationwide surveys. So why it is means mainly on the socio-economic issues. So if any socio-economic problems are there, so NSSO will collect the data in favor of government, and it will be helpful for the government to take plans and policies. So from where we can take these data means NSSO usually releases the reports in its quarterly journal. So the name of the journal is Sarvekshana. So using that journal, we can collect the data collected by NSSO. To sum up, Chapter 2 Collection of Data, we discussed various key terms used to collect the data, the sources of data, namely primary and secondary data, the methods of collecting data through census and survey, and the instrument used for survey, that is questionnaire. So what are the points we should keep in mind to prepare a questionnaire? And the modes of data collection, that is personal interview, mailing questionnaire and telephone interviews, and the advantage and disadvantage of all these methods, and the trial method, that is pilot survey, which is helpful for pre-testing the survey using a questionnaire. And in detail, we learned the census and sample survey and the merits and demerits of both methods, and random sampling and non-random sampling, and the errors due to sampling and non-sampling, and the agencies which are used for collecting the data, that is Census of India and NSSO. So these all concepts we discussed in detail. Hope you understood all those concepts. If you have any doubt, clarify with me. Thank you. Have a great day.